the deal, my people? You know what it is, the Don Tony Teflon, and I'm back at you another one, and this one is the misrepresentation of Cersei Lannister, Part 2, The King and I. Before Cersei was the age of 6, she was told by her father, Lord Tywin Lannister, that she was to be betrothed to the crown prince, Rhaegar Targaryen. Now we must remember who Tywin Lannister is at this time. Tywin Lannister is the richest person in the Seven Kingdoms. Tywin Lannister is the second most powerful person in the Seven Kingdoms. Now, it is put out there that Cersei is infatuated with Jaime, and that's all she ever wanted was Jaime, but this is not true. Cersei was infatuated with Rhaegar. Now, it is known that Cersei did draw a picture of herself and Rhaegar on a dragon's back, making out. Jaime Lannister discovered this picture, and Cersei was so afraid that she had to make up a lie, saying that this was a picture depicting King Jaehaerys and his wife Alysanne. Now, Cersei becomes even more infatuated with Rhaegar, liking him even more when she meets him for the first time. When Viserys is born, they hold a tournament at Lannister-part. And then Lady Jenna, Cersei's aunt, tells her that before the end of this tournament, that she will be announced as the next bride to Rhaegar, and Cersei is ecstatic. Now, why wouldn't you be ecstatic if you are Cersei Lannister? Cersei Lannister is about to marry the most handsome, richest person in the Seven Kingdoms that's going to become king, and she's going to become queen. At such an early age, how can she be so ecstatic? I mean, you gotta think, Rhaegar is the equivalent of a young Elvis, Beatlemania. You know, it's like that with this guy comes around, and she gets to marry him. So thinking this is going to happen, we must remember Cersei is a young girl at this time. She brings her best friends, Merlane Heatherspoon and Jane Farman, to this tournament. Now, at this time is when she also takes him to see Maggie the Frog, a Woods Witch. Part 1 was all about that, so I won't go into it too much. Please look at Part 1 if you want to know more about that. But I will say that this Maggie the Frog, this Children of the Forest, who she is, has put a tremendous burden on this young girl, telling her that she's going to outlive her children. Who wants to hear that? Who really wants to hear that they are going to outlive their children? And to hear this at such a young age is not fair to Cersei Lannister. This is not Robert's or Jaime's kids that she thinks she's going to outlive. She's thinking this is the love of her life, Rhaegar Targaryen. No parent wants to outlive their kids or even hear anything like that, right? So then she goes into her scepter, and her scepter tells her that the meaning of Valonqar means little brother. Now let's put this in perspective. She is told that she is going to be killed by her little brother. Her little brother, her baby brother, when he came into this world, killed her mother. Her mother died as a result of that. And not only is she going to be killed by her little brother, but killed in such a heinous way, strangled to death by her little brother. Why wouldn't she, at this age, think that this is Tyrion? The only natural, logical thing to think, but she was manipulated and used by these evil children of the forest who have been doing this to the Lannisters. In another video, I will talk about the children and the Lannister connection soon enough. But after hearing all this, she finally makes her way back to the tournament. And when she gets back to the tournament, she is told that her aunt is the one who gives her the news that she is refused as the bride. So she's sitting there the whole time thinking this is going to happen, and then she is let down and not allowed to marry Rhaegar. And she's thinking there's something wrong with her, because she don't think anything's wrong with her father, even though her father could have came clean and said, hey, Rhaegar, father and I are having a little issue right now, and we're going to try to work that out, but it's got nothing to do with you. No, Tywin keeps his mouth shut and makes her believe that there's something wrong with her, and that is just devastating. Getting all that news at once, how could that damage you emotionally? But Cersei does have the strength to carry on. So about 2 years later, Rhaegar still does not have a bride. Cersei's about 12 now, so her father decides to take her to court while he is still serving as Hand of the King. This is during the time when Stefan Baratheon goes on the mission to Essos to try to find a bride for Rhaegar. Now, even though Cersei is the most beautiful woman in the Seven Kingdoms, she plays her part. She does her duty to her family and allows her father to basically sell her like some type of cattle to anyone. Now, she is offered marriage after marriage from High Lord after High Lord, but Tywin keeps turning him down. And Cersei would have accepted any one of these marriages because she knew at this time that it wasn't going to happen with her and Rhaegar. Of course, Rhaegar does marry Ilya Martell, but Tywin is still trying to pimp her off onto the youngest Prince Viserys, and that is what his plan is, but it does not seem to be working whatsoever. Now, Tywin finally gets his wish and marrying his daughter off to the king after Robert's rebellion. This marrying his daughter off to this man, he doesn't know what this man's all about or anything, but he's just happy to do this and marry his daughter off just to get rid of her. Now, in 284 AC at the wedding, Cersei was ecstatic. She was so proud to be married to Robert Baratheon. But what happens on their first night together? Cersei Lannister, the most beautiful woman in Westeros, hears a man call out another woman's name. A dead woman at that.
Hated him. I worshipped him. Every girl in the Seven Kingdoms dreamed of him, but he was mine by oath. And when I finally saw him on our wedding day in the Sept of Baelor, lean and fierce and black-bearded, it was the happiest moment of my life. And that night he crawled on top of me, stinking of wine, and did what he did, what little he could do. And whispered in my ear, Lyanna, your sister was a corpse and I was a living girl, and he loved her more than me.
Now, early on in their marriage, Cersei is happy to go with Robin to his uncle's house on Greenstone to stay at the Eastmont. Now, it's at this time, the first time that Cersei starts to think that Robert is sleeping with one of his cousins at this place. She sends Jaime out there to investigate, and Jaime comes back and tells her this is the deal. Now, this is the night that it is seen that they conceive Joffrey. So what happened here? Did Jaime Lannister lie to her? Take advantage of her just like Jane Westling did to Robb Stark? Yes, he did. And then he blows it in her and gets her pregnant. Now, is that her fault that he did that to her? She can't control that. There's nothing she can do. He did that. He put her life on the line. All she could do after that is raise her children the best she could. It's not her fault that she got pregnant. Now, when they were first married, Robert liked to have sex with Cersei. They had sex all the time, but he would constantly hurt her, constantly be mean to her and do cruel things to her. And she tried to confront him on this and tell her, hey, you're hurting me, dude. And he got mad at her and tried to say it was because he was drinking. Now, I know a lot of people who drink and have sex, and usually they can't perform that well, let alone hurt someone. So it had to be Robert was doing this on purpose, hurting this woman. Why would you want to hurt your wife like that? Now, it seems that the Maggie the Frog thing starts to come true when Cersei does have 3 children. And Robert has many, many bastards. Listen, if Robert was on the Maury Povich show and they said about his bastards, Robert Baratheon, in the case of this baby, they would say, "You are the father." So many times that it would not even be funny. So this is what it truly is. You got to understand it for what it is. This is the most beautiful woman, known fact, in the world. This is Princess Diana and Marilyn Monroe wrapped up into one, right? Being cheated on. And he's not cheating on her with the most hottest chicks. He's fucking anything. And getting them pregnant. And having babies with them. She's being humiliated constantly, over and over again. And why? What has she done wrong to deserve this? Nothing at all. Robert is just disgusting. And somewhat down the line, Stannis Baratheon starts to notice that, hey, Robert's bastards have black hair and blue eyes. None of these kids look like Robert. And then, after he tells Jon Arryn gets killed, and then they blame Cersei Lannister for the poisoning, which she had nothing to do with whatsoever. But Stannis blames her, and he flees to Dragonstone. So after this, Cersei accompanies Robert to Winterfell, where Robert recruits Lord Eddard Stark, and this is where she gets bagged up by peeping-ass Tom Bran while she's fucking Jaime, and Jaime pushes Bran out the window. Now Cersei screams on Jaime for doing this and says, why would you do that? We could have just intimidated him into silence. That was what she wanted to do. But now, did Cersei overreact with her son when he gets bit by Nymeria? Yes, she does. But what does she know? She only knows what she is told. She knows that her son got bit by a dire wolf. And that's all she knows. She doesn't know the whole story, so she takes her son's side. But it's Jaime Lannister who goes out and tries to execute and murder Arya, but he can't find her because she's hiding with the Stark guards. Now, it's funny to me that everyone gets upset that this direwolf got killed. If this happened on this planet, if a dog bites a child, no matter what happens, that dog gets killed on this planet today. That's what they do. If a dog bites a child, that dog is getting killed. Now, this is a dog, a wolf, who bit the prince. The prince. That's like biting the first son of Barack Obama's kid. If your dog bites Barack Obama's daughter, your dog is getting shot on the spot. Period. Now, still having some sort of love for her husband after all these years, she tries to tell him, listen, you fool, you cannot fight in the hand of the king's tourney, alright? You can't do this melee shit, you're too old. But he doesn't want to listen to her. It wasn't until Ned Stark and them tell him not to do it that he does not enter the tournament. Does Varys claim that by Cersei saying not for him to do it, that she knew that he would go and do it anyway, and then accidentally maybe he get killed? Yes, he does claim this. But it's also Varys at the same time who claims that Sir Hugh of the Vale was hired by the Lannisters to poison Jon Arryn, which he was 100% false on. So after this, Catelyn Stark then takes Tyrion. So then Cersei's like, yo, that's my brother, you're my family, you gotta do something about this. But instead of sticking up for his wife, he sides with his boy.
I took you for a king.
Hold your tongue.
He's attacked one of my brothers and abducted the other. I should wear the armor, and you the gown. I shall wear this like a badge of honor.
I don't know about you, but I got boys. But if I had a wife, there's no way I'm hitting my wife, especially for my boy. I ain't hitting my wife regardless, but not for my boy. Not because of some dude. I have best friends that have wives. They're not hitting their wives because of me. Ever. Never. Ever. That would never happen. So the fact that he was willing to do that and then try to blame his battering ass self, blame it on Cersei, say she provoked him. This shows you the amount of battery that this woman took. And this is a big-handed man. This is a thick-handed man. This is the dude with hands like Mike Tyson, like George Foreman. You know what I mean? With a big, thick neck. Shit brick-ass cat. Smacking her. You know what I mean? A little delicate lioness like that. That's what she had to deal with. Now, after Ned Stark does his investigation, he confronts Cersei and tells her the deal. That she better run. Because he's going to tell Robert the deal. Now, what do you think is going through this woman's mind? She just got smacked in the face because of this dude, right? Because Robert took his side. What do you think Robert's going to do to her after he tells her this situation? There's no way she's going to believe his wife, over him. And we've seen what happened with the Targaryen baby. Robert was down to have those babies' heads smashed against the wall and looking like that. So it's no telling what he would have done to her kids.
When the king returns from his hunt, I'll tell him the truth. You must be gone by then. You and your children. I will not have their blood on my hands. Go as far away as you can, with as many men as you can. Because wherever you go, Robert's wrath will follow you.
And what of my wrath, Lord Stark?
So what was she supposed to do, regardless that these kids are born of incest? Regardless, they are her kids, right? If someone has a kid that is born with some type of defect, is that parent not supposed to love that kid as much? No, you still love your kid. So Lord Ned Stark puts her in the corner and tells her, you better run because Robert's going to come and kill you and her kids. So she has no choice. With her back against the wall, to put in a plan into effect that eventually leads to the death of Robert Baratheon. But what else is she supposed to do? And now we'll discuss more what she's going to do in part 3. And if you don't agree with me, that's what we got the comment section for, whether you do or you don't. Put it down there. And if you like the way I do this, please thumbs up this, please spread this across the realm, and please subscribe. And until next time, you know who it is. Peace, and stay sexy.
When you play the Game of Thrones, you win or you die. There is no middle ground.